What's up, my wizards? It's Dev and Waverly here for once. From Mtg, we like it in Magic, and today got some Modern Horizons previews for you from not only today but yesterday. The video got stuck processing on YouTube at 95% and I couldn't fix it, so I got to go back over some of yesterday's best cards while we're here. Now, today and yesterday were both days of, like, nostalgic callbacks. It's really, really cool. We're seeing a lot of them, like, playing and tooling around with, like, the flavor and the nostalgia in the set, and I really like some of the things they're doing. So, let's go through some of those by starting with, I guess, the limited playable stuff from today, and we'll work our way up. Like, we saw Changeling Outcast today, which effectively has Shadow. That's really cool, you know, without actually having Shadow. This is another really cool callback. Even though it's just a 1-mana 1/1, pretty interesting ability. And the Changeling might be important too. This is effectively an unblockable 1-mana creature in literally every tribe, which might work out for a couple of tribes down the line. Aside from that, we saw Umezawa's Charm, another really cool callback. They're never going to reprint this card, right? Umezawa's Jite, but we'll at least take all the effects from Umezawa's Jit on one instant. You know, this is 2 mana, 1 and a black for an instant that's modal. You get 3 options. Choose one. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn, or you gain 2 life. So see what they did there? And it's got great flavor text. Instead of being able to get one of these 3 effects more or less every single turn, you just get it one shot and it costs you a card. So it's a lot worse, and it's probably just a limited trick, but a modal card like this is actually really, really good in limited. So I expected to see play there, but pretty much nowhere else. Aside from that, moving up a little bit, we saw Generous Gift. I like this thing a lot. This is 3 mana, 2 and a white for an instant. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token, so it's a Beast Within in white. Like a color that probably needs it a lot less than green does, but at the same time, destroy target permanent is a pretty sweet line of text. Oh, by the way, we also got Ravenous Giant, which isn't much. It's just a red Jazam de Jin, one of the most iconic Magic cards of all time, but now they just printed it uncommon, and, like, who cares, you know? Just a 4 mana 5/5, and at the beginning of your upkeep, it hits you for a point of damage. That's it. It's Jazam, but, like, we've reached the point in Magic where this illustrates the fact that a 4 mana 5/5 just isn't that impressive anymore, and the fact that it has a downside is, like, really a bummer. So, to that, I guess. You know, really, really important limited playable, but this is really there to make a point, and it certainly does. But up next, let's look at Ayula, Queen Among Bears, everybody. This is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a legendary bear. It's a 2/2, just like a bear should be. 2 mana, 2/2. And whenever another bear enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. 1, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target bear, or 2, target bear you control fights target creature you don't control. A legendary bear commander. This set is full of stuff that we all wanted, and we just didn't know that we wanted that. I'm pretty sure there have been people pushing for a bear commander, and you finally got it, and it's actually really good. I mean, first of all, it's really cheap, you know, 2 mana, 2/2, so you got that going for you. It allows you to go ahead and get set up on turn 2, and then just start casting bears like crazy on your next few turns. And it works really well with another card that was previewed today, actually, Mother Bear. Where's, I guess they couldn't print Brother Bear for copyright reasons. But Mother Bear just allows you, once it dies, to go get, you know, basically make a couple of 2/2 bear tokens. And if you have an Ayula in play, you can make a couple of 4/4 bear tokens. Or you can make like a 4/4 and then have it fight. You know, that's just really, really, really cool. Some of the things you can do with this, and there are kind of a lot of bears throughout Magic history. It ain't just grizzlies. So this is actually really freaking cool to me, and it's there mostly just for commander flavor, but I'll take it. It's actually really well designed while you're at it. Like, if you're trying to make a tribal bear commander deck, and remember, by the way, again, reminder casually that changelings are bears. So just keep that one in mind. But anyway, if you're trying to make like a casual bears deck, this is actually a really, really sweetly designed card for it that actually gives you a little bit of removal, a way to make your creatures even bigger. Like, yeah, sign me up. Plus, you get to make unbearable bear jokes the entire time, so there's that too. Nothing but fun here. Another reprint incoming, actually. We got to see Genesis today again. This is 5 mana, 4 and a green for a 4/4 incarnation. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 2 and a green. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Well, Genesis sees a good amount of commander play in almost every dedicated green deck. It's a really, really important card. So even though I don't believe the price was spiraling out of control or anything, it's really nice to have it back here. Another printing is always welcome, and it's going to be a sweet card in limited. It might actually see some real real modern play, too, for what that's worth. But we'll have to wait and see on that analysis. Can't wait to have it for Limited, and more printings for Commander is always good. Genesis is an old favorite. Hopefully we'll get Wonder as well. Can't wait for that. Another sweet reprint today, actually, and one that I'm actually pretty excited about, is Altar of Dementia. This is 2 mana for an artifact. Sack a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. Yet another really popular Commander card, reprinted now into Modern, where it might actually see some play. You know, there's lots of funky stuff you can do with this. There's already, like, Altar of Phoenixes and stuff in Commander, and you can just make that deck in Modern. Now, it's probably not very good, but what you could do is do, like, Malira and any persist creature at that point, and you just mill them out for the win, like go infinite with it. That's really what this is for, is the infinite mill combos, but you can mill yourself too in decks that want to, I don't know, like dredge or delve or something like that. There's just a lot of cool little uses for Altar, and it's relatively cheap to cast in the first place and get going. Artifact decks want it too, you know, it's a pretty cheap little artifact to play and then get value out of later from your Artifacts Matter cards. So there's just a lot of really cool things about Altar, and it's awesome that it's in Modern now. But you know what else came out today? Ayula's Influence. We're talking about bears a second ago. I should have just thrown this one in. This is 3 mana, 3 green mana specifically. For an enchantment, discard a land card, create a 2/2 green bear creature token. So we get like a Seismic Assault honeypot, you know, a bear's den that's basically a Seismic Assault. Just instead of hitting for 2 immediately, you get a threat on the board, which I'm actually not sure which one I like better, but I have played Seismic Assault a lot over the last, I don't know, 20 plus years at this point. It's actually another one of like my favorite Magic cards, so it's really sweet to have this. If not just as a, you know, green Seismic Assault, it's going to work, again, really well in that Ayula deck, you know? Discard a land card, put a bear into play, you might get a 4/4, you might get a fight trigger off your Ayula, you know, whatever you choose. So this is going to be a really good card for that Commander deck specifically, but as far as Seismic Assault that makes creatures, like, when you put it that way, like, yeah, that sounds really, really good. But one of my favorite cards, from today at least, is Bazaar Mage. This is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 3/4 human wizard with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 and discard 3. Based on the flavor text, this guy really messed up. He shouldn't have traded that lamp, man. This is obviously Aladdin. He's wearing the same outfit, he's got the carpet, there's Iago up there. This takes a little bit too much inspiration well, I guess Aladdin can't be copyright infringement because it's like a 2,000-year-old story, but anyway. This is a great card. Let me actually talk about the function of the card. You get a one-time ETB Bazaar of Baghdad that's also kind of combined with a Serendib-Efreet. If you didn't catch that, this is a ridiculous rate. 3 mana, 3/4 flyer is always great. It's really castable. It doesn't cost you double colors or anything like that. So just the threat on board at this point in the game is insane. And yeah, there's plenty of reasons why you might want to pitch a bunch of cards in your graveyard. Hook, yuck, waka, waka. So I'm pretty sure this is going to see a fair amount of Modern play. But probably what will go on to be one of the most talked about cards on the day. Here's Mox Tantalite. I don't know why Tantalite either. They've got a million minerals to choose from, but whatever. Tantalite has Suspend 3 for 0, and you can tap it for a mana of any color once it finally does come into play. Well, this is where we get to see if Dev has learned his lesson from Mox Amber. And no, I don't think I have yet at this point. Actually, Mox Amber is seeing more play in Standard now than it ever has before, so I got that going for me. But I'll say it again, just like I said with Amber, fast mana, or free mana for that matter, can never be underestimated. It's almost always good. And even though this card is like really fair, and Moxes aren't supposed to be fair, like whenever we see a fair Mox, we're like, oh, it's bad, man. But then it turns out okay. Like back in the day, when like Stronghold came out, I remember Magic players hating Mox Diamond. Thinking it was terrible. It's because you're comparing it to the original Mox cycle. Turns out Mox Diamond is like incredibly expensive now. It's really played, but I can't compare this to Mox Diamond either. That's probably dishonest. Like this looks worse upon first glance than even Mox Amber does, but at least you can reliably get the mana out of this once it does hit play, so it's got that going for it. But at the same time, even if you cast this on like the first turn, it's going to take a while to finally come into play, like turn 4, and that's not... An extra mana on turn 4 probably isn't where you want to be in Standard, much less Modern, so I'm not sure. Maybe you Cascade into it or something like that could be it, but again, that takes like too many turns for the extra mana to really be worth it, and you'd probably rather just be cascading into something else. But like anything, not any card, but a lot of cards that just let you, cast spells for free, Electro Dominance, for instance. You can just plunk this down, get an extra mana, but I'm just not sure if having to wait until you can do that and spend a card on Electro Dominance is worth it. So this is one where we're all going to probably call it a bad card, like myself included. Like, this is a real, 6. This isn't even quite a 7 to me. But it's probably going to do something eventually, The fact that this card's going to be modern playable until the end of time, it may end up doing something, especially if we get a bunch of good effects that just let us play cards for free, right? I mean, a bunch of cards jump up in value if we get that, but there's already ways to play this card for free without having to suspend it, and at that point, pretty darn good card, so maybe some deck will possibly break it. I forgot to mention Bolas's Citadel, by the way, which just allows you to go bop and play this and get net mana out of it too, so I guess there's that, but, Bolas's Citadel, really? 6 mana for Citadel? So you get a free mana? It's just not... I'm not sure. Unless you're trying to go off all in one turn with Citadel and you need extra mana. Maybe. We'll get it together. But at the same time, I can probably confidently say that this is like the fairest Mox ever printed. And that's not great. Now let's go back and look at some of that cray-cray business from yesterday, because there's actually a bunch of stuff that I didn't get to that I really should. Like Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. This is 3 mana, 2 and a white for a legendary human soldier. It's a 2/2, and it gets +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control. You can pay 1 of each color to search your library for a legendary permanent card with converted mana cost less than Sisay's power. Put that card onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. So this is a dope 5-color commander. I really like this. I like the nostalgic callback to Sisay, obviously. And even though it's kind of sideways, a little bit like the last Sisay that we saw printed, it's entirely different too. And I really like the things you can do with this. Once you get all 5 mana, it's going to be fairly easy to get Sisay's power to like 5 or 6. And at that point, you can just go crazy searching up pretty much anything you want. Plus, remember that you don't have to increase her power just by like having legends that are different colors and stuff. You can put +1/+1 counters on her. You can have anthem effects and stuff like that. Combat tricks even before you activate her ability. So there's chances here, if you play your cards right, literally, that you can just go search up like a 10 mana permanent. Like you can go well beyond the sort of basic restrictions of how many +1/+1 counters or how much extra power she can get. Not counters, excuse me. But still, like, just insane what this card could do. And it's going to be a really fun commander, but there are probably better 5-color commander options. This one's just all about the nostalgic callback and the fun. And again, I got no qualms with that. Thanks for printing Sisay again. Oh, by the way, we also got Squirrel Nests. This is 3 mana, 1, 2 green for an uncommon enchantment. It's an aura that enchants a land. And enchanted land has tap, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So, more squirrel action, and this works really well with the new deranged hermit, obviously, because it gives, all these squirrels that you're making with your lands just 1/1s. Gives you something to do with your lands every, 2/2s. Gives you something to do with your lands every turn, it's a cool card. Won't see any modern play, but I guess if you're building the squirrel commander deck, this is a must-play one of to fill a slot, so that's for you, EDH Squirrel players. We know you exist. But anyway, here's Frostwalk Bastion. I am really excited for this uncommon. It's a snow land that taps for a colorless, or you can pay 1 and a snow mana. Until end of turn, it becomes a 2/3 construct artifacts creature, but it's still a land. And whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, you tap that creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This is an amazing payoff for snow decks. Like, if you're going to do that and build the snow thing, I guess, this is definitely a land that you want in your base somewhere. It's a Mishra's Factory with an extra point of toughness, so that's hot dog to that. And the extra line of text there is just incredible. Whether you're using it as a blocker or you're attacking in, daring your opponent to block it, being able to freeze something down for a turn is just really good on a creature land that didn't cost you any mana to cast in the first place. It wasn't counterable. It's just, whew, like, I'm a big fan of creature lands, just in general. I like whenever we see those, but this one in particular doesn't cost too much to activate if you have some snow mana laying around. Great snow payoff, uncounterable to play in the first place, free investment. You get a 2/3 out of it eventually. That 2/3 can tap things down. It's just like, the good things about the card just keep going on and on, so I actually think this thing is really pushed, and I'm a little bit surprised that it's just an uncommon. This is a good piece of cards. boards, pieces of magic things. Awkward way to end the segment, but still, I'm excited. I'm more excited about this than I was the Mox Tantalite thing. So, I'm gonna kind of like fumble my words a little bit here. You can understand that. You can appreciate that. Card's good. But here's another uncommon from yesterday that I feel like I should highlight today, and that's Etchings of the Chosen. 3 mana, 1 a white and a black for an enchantment. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. And you can pay 1 and sacrifice a creature of the type that you have chosen, and have target creature you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so it's an Anthem effect, and like an indestructible factory, and a sacrifice outlet, like all in the same card. That's really, really good, It's an Anthem effect for anything, effectively, that's in Orzhov, so this is just another great Commander Anthem effect. As many Anthems in Commander as you can get, it's always a pretty good philosophy. So if you're playing some sort of tribe in Orzhov, this is a great Anthem effect. And the ability to sacrifice, first of all, note the way this is worded. You have to sacrifice creature of the chosen type, but you don't have to give the indestructible to a creature of the chosen type. So you can do some fun stuff there. But mostly you're going to be playing this in like all-in tribal decks anyway. But just having 2, if not 3, really important, outlets on one card is just insane. Anthem effect, indestructible maker, and if you do want it, sacrifice outlet, all for 3 mana is just nutso. So this is going to see all the play in the world in like tribal commander decks, but we'll see where it goes in modern. I really don't know that it has a place there, but again, just all of these things on one card is unbelievable, so I'm actually not putting it past the card to see some play somewhere. We also saw Scale Up yesterday, although yesterday it was not English translated yet, and it was called Avaltar. James Cameron's Avatar, but today we get a joke name, Scale Up. You get it? Because scale up, but also worms have scales. You understand the joke. Anyway, it's just 1 green mana for a sorcery. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes green worm creature with base power and toughness 6/4, so you get a crawl worm. And you can overload this for 4 and 2 green. Now, the overload on this is going to be important in, like, limited, probably. It seems like a good limited game breaker, but really, what I'm excited about is Infect. But you knew that already. Like, everybody who's gotten a chance to talk about this card has probably already been like, Modern Infect! Because that's where the card goes. At this point, I'm just adding my voice to that chorus, I don't know what this replaces in that deck, because you probably still play Become Immense. You might even still play, Giant Growth. Maybe you cut Might of Old Krosa, or you cut Giant Growth instead of Might. I don't know. But the card goes in the deck without question. We got Force of Virtue yesterday, and I feel like I have to defend this card because it's gotten a little bit of hate online. People are calling it the worst of the cycle, and it might be, considering this is such an insane cycle. But that's a good place to be, because you're still a playable card if you're the worst of this cycle. But anyway, 4 mana, 2 and 2 white for an enchantment. It has flash, and if it's not your turn, you can exile a white card from your hand rather than pay its mana cost. And creatures you control get +1/+1. Another Anthem effect, but this one free. Completely free. I like when Celestial Crusader is free. 4 mana Anthem effect is actually pretty sweet. The fact that it has flash, you can just bust it in as a combat trick. Even if you pay the mana for it, that might be okay. It can beat like Anger of the Gods, Cry the Carnarium, Pyroclasm type effects and stuff like that, Deafening Clarion. There's a bunch of different damage-based sweepers that this card can help you beat. Like that about it all day too. Just with flash, and having it for free is just crazy, and I feel like people are forgetting you'll just play this on turn 1. Like, effectively, you can play this card before you even play a land. Get rid of a white creature that you won't be playing until later on in the game, or maybe your hand is flush with 1 and 2 drops, and you can go down 1 for a proactive Anthem effect before you even play a creature, and you do it for no mana at the end of your opponent's first turn. Like, all that sounds really, really great, and modern white mono. Why can't I do this? Modern mono white aggro decks. Sorry, I had to form that correct. Think before you say each word. But I'm gonna try and get it out again. Modern mono white aggro decks are mostly gonna be playing a bunch of 1-drops anyway. They want to go like Kithion turn 1, turn 2 play 2 1-drops. And if you're able to get this on effectively your first turn or turn 0, if you want to use that phrase, then you're just going to be going way faster. You know, Kithion comes into play with 3 power. Your 2 1-drops on turn 2 come to play with 3 power. And then you're just going to be hitting for 1 billion before you know it. Like, I'm telling you, a free Anthem effect before you even really start the game is just absolutely insane for any White Weenie deck. So I expect this card to see a bunch of play. And again, being the, quote, worst of the cycle is still a fine place to be, considering, like, you know, Force of Despair, the black one, it's going to see all the play in multiple formats. You know, the green one that busts up artifacts and enchantments for free is going to see a bunch of at least sideboard play in a bunch of different formats, you know. It's like the blue one is going to see a ton of play in control decks. It's like all of these cards are going to see all of the play. So calling this the worst of the cycle, yeah, that really doesn't detract from it too much. It's still going to be in decks. Let's check out Goblin Engineer here. This is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 1/2 Goblin Artificer, and when it ETBs, you may search your library for an artifact card, put it into your graveyard, shuffle your library. You can pay a red and tap it and sack an artifact. To return target artifact card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Alright, so you see what's going on here? Pretty cleverly designed card, you know. Being able to tutor up an artifact when it ETBs is like, that's good enough. That's really, really good for your 2 mana investment. Even though you're chucking the artifact in the yard, still plenty of ways to get it out. And by the way, it can do that too, provided that the artifact that you went and tutored up is 3 cost or less. So this is another way to play Mox Tantalite for not suspending it, but you still get it. Probably too late in the game for it to really matter. And you have to like lose value by sacking an artifact. I don't know, guys. I don't know about Tantalite at least, but this card I do know about. You know, being able to like loop artifacts with this over and over is probably a really cool thing to be able to do. And again, just being able to go tutor any artifact up from your deck, throw it into your yard, and then get it back at your convenience with this or any number of cards is a pretty sweet thing to be able to do, while also putting a body onto the battlefield for a relatively low cost. So I expect this card to see a bunch of play, not only in tricky decks, but in fair decks too. There was also Ranger Captain of EOS. I'm telling you, a bunch of really good cards yesterday, and it sucks that I couldn't get that video uploaded. But anyway, we'll try again. 3 mana, 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 human soldier. When it ETBs, you may search your library. We're seeing a lot of that. For a creature card with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. And you can sacrifice Ranger Captain to have your opponent can't cast non-creature spells this turn. You know what I'm trying to say. You can read the card. Apparently I can't, but you can read the card. This does a lot of cool stuff. Great callback to just, you know, Ranger of EOS. And I like how we're seeing a bunch of like Rugrats all grown up versions of other characters, you know, young Pyromancers all grown up, and so is the Ranger. It's received a promotion and gotten technically a little bit better. You know, it can't go search up 2 1 mana things anymore. But you do get a cut off the price, and that's really worth its weight in gold. You know, 3 mana is so much less, especially in a format like Modern, than 4 mana is. And that just really blows up the playability on this card. And the fact that you can keep your opponent off of, say, Wrath effects or Settle the Wreckage even on your turn or stuff, you know, just like during your upkeep, you can sacrifice this, or during your opponent's upkeep, sacrifice this. Keep them from doing tricky stuff all turn. It's just, that's going to be really important to make sure you can keep your board presence the way you want it to. You've built it all game. You don't want it to be disturbed. You know, just so much that sack ability in and of itself can do, but we just saw an amazing 1-mana target for this to tutor up, and that's the new Mother of Runes, Giver of Runes. You can just go get this on turn 3, or go get that on turn 3 with your Ranger. And that seems like a pretty darn good play. And that's kind of discounting the fact that Modern already has like a billion playable 1-drops you want to tutor up anyway. And in a mono-white aggro deck, this is just an insane like top end of the curve. So, you know, go search up Kithion if you haven't found it yet. Isamaru or something like that. There's just a ton of things you can do with this. And I've seen people trashing it, and I just don't get that. Insane ETB, you know, insane sacrifice trigger, great stats for the mana cost. It's just, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this card at all. And in fact, there's a ton of crap right with this. You know, you collected company decks will play this. It's just, the list goes on and on of why this card is easily Modern playable. Don't discount it. I should also at least talk about the first Sliver. This is a super exciting card from yesterday. All 5 colors of mana for a legendary 7/7 Sliver with Cascade. That's good enough, right? 7/7 for 5 with Cascade, that's probably playable. And Sliver spells you cast have Cascade. Yeah, it really is that silly. So like you cast this, cascade into a sliver, cascade into a sliver, cascade into a sliver. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy. Like we actually saw a bunch of slivers yesterday, but none of them are particularly competitive playable, except for maybe the Unearthed sliver. That one looks like it's probably all right, but I'm not sure it gets there. This one, however, is not so. And like, yeah, it might be your new sliver commander. You might start just playing Sliver Queen in your deck and making this your commander. That's possible. Although even if you keep Sliver Queen as your commander, this is obviously still in your deck. It's just a blowout. Homing Sliver goes and searches it up or whatever. It's just... the card is unbelievable. So, but even outside of like sliver decks, I'm telling you, a 5-mana 7/7 Cascade is like almost borderline playable. Even if you're playing just a couple of other slivers in your deck, like some really, really decent slivers, and like nothing but slivers, then yeah, still will end up getting you a ton of value over the course of the game. So I don't know. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that this is just like modern playable, even in like slivers decks that don't have a ton of slivers in them, but there's something really attractive about cascading on a 7/7 for 5. That sounds good to me. But the last card I want to talk about today, and my favorite card from all of yesterday, and possibly today, actually. It's like either this, Frostwalk Bastion. I've got a top 3, but anyway. Scrapyard Recombiner is the thing I'm talking about. It's 3 mana for a 0/0 artifact creature. It's construct, obviously, with modular 2, which basically means it ETBs with 2+1/+1 counters. When it dies, you move into another artifact creature. And you can tap it and sack an artifact, search your library for a construct card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Well, I just tutored myself a big fat Ziggy construct. Yeah. He's a big boy. He loves his papa. But I love this card. Not as much as I love Ziggy, but like it's close. Construct Tribal is... I'm sorry, but I didn't mean it. He got all restless. Anyway, Construct Tribal's a real thing, man. Like all the constructs are good between Hangerback Walker, Walking Ballista. Think about that. Scrap Trawler. Imagine this card with Scrap Trawler. Just bonkers. Some of the things you can actually do, like all of the Gear Hulks are constructs too. It's just card is just nutso looking to me, and it has the modular, which works really well with, say, again, Ballista or Hangerback Walker. All that's good. Sacrifice Hangerback Walker to go search something up, pop it, get a bunch of Thopters and stuff. It's just, oh my god. Go search up a Walking Ballista, sacrifice this to itself to search up a copy of itself, put the modular on Walking Ballista. Just, oh my god. Just in the dedicated constructs deck, this thing does all the labor. This thing is the entire assembly line by itself, but because it can go and tutor up your other pieces. And that's going to be insanely important, and just because you're dumping stuff into the graveyard doesn't mean you're never going to get it back. That's what Scrap Trawler's for, bruh. I'm telling you. Doesn't look like much. Just looks like a tricky little combo piece that's going to be cute to play with. No, there's nothing cute about this. The card is unbelievable, and even if it does get killed on sight, it still leaves some value behind. So you got to like that about it, too. Just... really so much good on one card, and literally any deck, any color deck can play it too. On top of all that, just Mordecai Johnson. I'm just super excited about the stupid thing. But let's go ahead and bring it down. Give the bubby some chin rubs. Good chin rubs. He loves them. kind of calm down with a nice warm cup of tea here at the end of the video, because I'm pretty sure that's all I've got for this evening. But I'll be back tomorrow with some more spoilers. We got some arena gameplay to do a little bit later on this week. Another deck tech coming out. We got all the work in the world to do, so subscribe for all that content. Make sure you hit the bell for the notifications when I do put up videos. I don't understand why YouTube makes you do that, but hit the bell and subscribe to make absolutely sure that you get notified of my content. You can also like the video if you enjoyed the video. Trash my takes down there in the comment section. Let me know what I got wrong, blah, blah, blah. I think the other day I said something about pitching a swamp to Force of Despair. You can't do that. It's obviously not a black card. I just spoke too soon. So I do make mistakes. Let me know where I messed this one up down there in the comments section. And again, any tech that I missed or anything you want to flesh out with any of these cards, let the world know in the sideboard down there. You can also pick up any of these cards on pre-order or just sealed product on tcgplay.com for the lowest prices on the entire interwebs. They do sponsor you, boys. Full disclosure, they sponsor me. They give me money to say their name. But I can also, the reason I say their name is because they are just truthfully, I don't have to lie to you to tell you that they're the cheapest place you're going to find this stuff. So hit the link in the description and, yeah, do all those things. Aside from that, just hit up the Patreon, link in the description, or patreon.com/spmtg. Support content like this, vote on what decks you want to see next, get access to the information as to what decks are coming up 24 hours in advance. And lots of other stuff. $5 a month gets you a sign card. $10 a month gets you the sign card and the information we talked about in the dollar tier, and it gets you your name in the credits, a deck doctor. It's just a lot you can do on the Patreon, but all I really ask is $1 a month. So if you got it, help your boy out. Let me hold $1. Aside from that, I'm pretty sure I'm done for this one. So sorry this one was a little bit longer. I don't know why YouTube wouldn't cooperate yesterday, but they didn't. So yeah, we got them all out today though. We're all caught up, and we'll get back on them tomorrow. Maybe take a little break on spoilers this weekend, but we got a lot of content to bring you. So again, subscribe if you possibly can, and I'll catch you cats later. I'm Dev from the place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. Spread love and be kind.